There it is. There it is. There it is. What's up, good people? What's up, good people? Happy Thursday. Happy week after the Super Bowl. All that kind of good stuff. Welcome to Pro Fan Talk. My name is Marcus Thomas, and I am with you this Thursday. I appreciate you joining me. And we're going to get it started. Got a special guest with me tonight. We got a lot of stuff going on. Again, we got the NFL, the gift that keeps on giving. We got a little bit NBA news, me being out here in the Philadelphia area. We finally got this Ben Simmons stuff settled. So we got a lot to talk about. But right off the bat, I got a special guest with me. I got a great friend of mine, a teammate. We played together at Eastern Kentucky. You see me repping my colors today. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce my brother, Jason Dunn. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. We haven't seen each other. Last time we hooked up was we ran into each other at the Eagles alumni event.
Yes.
What was that, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe?
About 4 years ago, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
So, and you did 4 years with the Eagles, and then you had 7 or 8 with the Chiefs.
Eight years after the Chiefs. Yeah.
Okay.
So
you had 12 overall. You had a good run, bro.
12 years, man. I tell you what, the thing is, when you start looking at it, it doesn't seem that long. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I guess when you're in it, it's just the monotony of just doing the thing over and over again every single year. But as soon as you get out of it, I'm like, man, it didn't really seem like it was 12 years. And so, those years, every single one of them was a blessing, in the highs and the lows. Just experiencing yourself, and this, just playing the NFL. I mean, it just gives you a different perspective on life in itself. It's just a whole different world. It's a whole different world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's something special when you make it to that top 1%. So, but as far as like the point you were making about time moving fast, man, and then you, because we was texting before the show, helping your son move and stuff like that. Whenever you get kids involved, that's when the time start flying, because you look back and they just walking. Next thing you know, they asking you for the keys to the car.
That's for sure. Not just keys to the car. They want keys to the house.
Exactly.
Yes, man. When my kids kind of graduated, I got all my kids. Well, not all of them. My first 3 are just all out of school, into their own lives, being adults. I got a grandson right now. I'm a grandfather.
The grandyoungins will do it to you.
Yes, they will.
You went for it, bro. You got a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's just an incredible joy, incredible blessing, just to see him. And I had him like my daughter, after she graduated from UK, she moved back in the house. And so having him, and of course I was able to have him his first 4 years of his life here at the house and stay here with Papa, and that was the best thing. And one of the craziest things was when they moved out, she kind of started her own life. Yeah, Dad, we're gonna go ahead and move. And I was like, oh, like it hurt me, but those first few years, when I'm telling you, just a treat, absolute treat. I was just immensely blessed with it. But
yeah, man, them grandyoungins are something special, bro.
Yeah,
with you on that one. So, did you? I'll assume you watched the Super Bowl. Your opinions on the game?
My opinions on the game. So, I didn't really know what to expect. I was just hoping to have a good game, a close game, something that was very exciting, nothing that was going to be a blowout. I didn't quite know how the Bengals was going to represent in the AFC. I think they did a good job. I thought they did. And
absolutely
what they showed, of course, beating the Chiefs 2 times, was that resiliency. And you could see that coming in at like the second half when they went up on the Rams. I was like, uh-oh, here it is, that team that hangs around, right? The ones that nobody sees coming. And guess before you know it, there they are. But I thought it was a good game. I think it turned out the way I expected it to be. I thought the Rams were going to win, and they did. And I knew it was going to be based off of, Kupp and Aaron Donald. I said before that, like on our show, I do Chiefs Concerns. I was saying that Aaron Donald was going to wheel themselves to a win. That's what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that. At the last phases of the game, he came in and he just played lights out ball. And he just showed him being Defensive Player of the Year,
Right.
MVP. Aaron Donald, probably one of the best defensive linemen that we've seen in our lifetime.
Yeah, and I thought that if Odell had not gone down, he was about to light it up. Because they couldn't concentrate on both of them. They had to pick their poison.
Right.
They decided to shut down Cooper Kupp in that first half. They shut him down. And Odell was doing all the work. And until that, man, when I saw him go down, and then I saw when they replayed it and nobody touched him, I was like, come on, man. Yeah. I was like, that's whenever you see somebody go down like that and nobody touches them, you know that's bad business, man. And I was hearing some people today. I think it was Chris Sims was talking about, like, when are they just going to go ahead and just get rid of turf altogether? Just get rid of it. So I don't think they're going to do it, but they need to.
To be honest with you, I think, with the technology they have now with the turf, a lot of it is, being a coach, seeing it, kind of, some guys play on it. It's just one of those things. It's just kind of a freak thing. It is. It's just kind of one of those things that happens out there on the football field with guys, right? Like you said, he didn't get touched. I don't think it had anything to do with the turf in itself. It's a football injury. Things you just can't account for, right? So, matter of fact, it happened when I was with Philly. I was up in Green Bay, and they on grass at the time. I just went up to catch a football, came back down. Nobody touched me, knee. And so that's part of the beast and the environment we play in, right? So
it's just that when that tendon reaches its expired date, ain't nothing you can do about it. And plus, I mean, I look at it like it's funny now having these conversations with fans and like people on social media and stuff like that. And now it sounds like I'm the old guy, like the get off my lawn guy, because I'm like, I played at the Vet when the turf was the worst of the worst that you could possibly play on. And I played on that mess for 2 years. And it's like the stuff that y'all get, and to your point, the technology that they get and this AstroTurf and stuff like that. I still prefer the natural grass, but a lot of that fake stuff is damn close. And they're spending a lot of money on it, and they spending money on it, and it's saving them money. So they ain't gonna never change it. It is what it is. So I did think though, it was interesting how the game, because the refs let them play most of the game, and then that last 5 to 6 minutes it got tight, and they started throwing flags on everything. And I was like, "Are you either gonna let them? Like, this is not the time to get ticky tack." And I thought a couple of the fouls were a little bit ticky tack. I watched a couple replays. They missed a lot of calls towards the end. Like, I think the Rams were offsides clearly twice down in the red zone on that last score with Cooper Kupp. So there's some things that could have been different, but then they missed the call with the face mask on Ramsey. So it goes both ways. I didn't think the refs messed up the game too much. There's always going to be situations where you can complain about stuff. Ain't nothing you can do about it. But for the most part, I agree with you, man. It was a great game.
I'll tell you what, kind of on that, every game you could call, they say you could call holding every single play. Right?
Every play.
You really can. Probably the same thing with pass interference, where guys are just kind of pushing and holding and grabbing. I mean, you see it on every single snap. And so it's at the discretion of the refs to call the play or not, right? To call the foul or not. And so sometimes these infractions, because we kind of see them on TV in the replay, real time, the refs don't really get it at that moment, right? So
right.
Sometimes I think they should have the ability to maybe, hey, look at this. Is this pass interference? Like, can I throw a flag, for you to replay this? I think that should be a necessary possibility. Now, kind of toward at the end, we know also during the course of the game, what players do and sidelines do is they get in the refs' heads. Hey, watch holding on this play, right? The coach goes and say, look, he's holding a Kupp coming over the middle. Linebackers holding it. Watch the DB when he's coming out of his break. And so I know sometimes those things are just what you're trying to do is you're trying to will these things of just putting in the ref's ear to get some of these calls. And then after a while, a ref, he'll call it. He'll throw it at the end of the game. And, so, and of course, when you're dealing with the Super Bowl, these are things you can't miss, especially at the end of the game. Especially at the end of the game. And I think you're going to start looking at those things maybe a little bit more closer than you did at the beginning of the game. You let them play a little bit, see how everything, as far as, how the environment kind of works itself out. But then I think at the end, Kupp was getting held. I mean, he was getting held by the linebacker, no doubt about
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. And so, the offsides, you should definitely call that. I mean, you got a guy who's they're strictly just to call that, right? Like the offside.
And they missed two of them. And Aaron Donald's head was right over the football. It was clear. That was a bad miss. Right. And you don't want to complain too much about it, but at that point in the game, every decision that they make or don't make, that can cost somebody the game.
That's true.
You inside the 5-yard line as opposed to the 10 or the 15, that's a big difference. So, those plays come in handy. And I think eventually they're going to have an official in the booth, like calling penalties in the booth, because it's to the point now where when they get stuff like that wrong and everybody and their mama sees it on the replay,
right?
It makes the situation worse. And then you got all of this stuff. And I think the real catalyst of it is going to be all of the money, all of the betting and all of these side bets and all of this crazy fantasy stuff they do. And, you can bet money on, is he going to wear the black shoes or the red shoes and all of that kind of mess. So when that stuff start messing with the money, then they'll change it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
but I guess maybe the narrative that we hear all the time that I won't buy into is that the NFL is rigged. Like I'm starting to see so much more of that now, of people coming up and saying, "Oh my gosh, this, the game was rigged. Like the Chiefs threw it on purpose. Patrick Mahomes threw it on purpose. And like he looked like I said, look, man, these guys make so much money. Like, who are they beholden to? I mean, Patrick Mahomes is making $500 million. Like, who's in his ear saying, Patrick, you need to throw this game? Why would you? Right?
Yeah.
Well, so to me, that would kind of it kind of bothers me, because I'm sitting there saying, well, look, I didn't get no script. Why do we feel like everybody's getting the script before the game and saying, well, at third quarter at 3:23, you need to do this or you need to do that. To me, that's just ridiculousness to me when I hear people say that.
Well, they can, and I think everybody uses the example of what was the ref in the NBA that got busted for cheating.
Yes,
and that's really, because to your point, you're right. The players are not going to do anything. It really is going to fall on the refs, because if it is an obvious hold, but they keep the flag in the pocket. So now it's second and goal on a 3 as opposed to second and goal on the 13. Now the odds of a touchdown or something like that, or this, whatever they want to manipulate as far as the score and point spreads and all of that kind of stuff, it is some type of effect. And honestly, sometimes the way these games are called, you're going to give those referees the arched eyebrow, especially nowadays, especially when a day later you see in all the news that the NFL announced that, they really did make a mistake. They should have called that or something like that. That's the problem right there, man. It's like when they admit it, and it was like, you had to see it. We saw it. Not everything, but a lot of the obvious stuff, you kind of looking like, come on, man, you got to do better than that. So I think eventually they got to go to full-time refs. Stop having these part-time refs. You got to, because there's stuff that they could be doing in the offseason to get better on the field, go to these camps, and not doing it now, but the optics of it just doesn't look good. So I think they'll end up changing it. So we'll see.
When I was coaching college football, we would get letters like it every Monday. Oh, we made a mistake, right? I mean, it's just, and that's human error. That's the way I look at it. Because sometimes, these guys are not going to get everything right. And I agree with you that you probably have to have somebody in the booth. But I know the referees, especially in these games, are very selective. The ones that get, And, kind of alluding to, like you were saying about the referee that was doing basketball, like how many years ago was that, right? We knew kind of then they was kind of setting up the hand as far as like however, I don't know, whatever, the mafia, whoever was running all the numbers and whatnot, had a little bit more influence, I guess, kind of back then. Now, like you said, now they're betting on everything. What color shoes you're going to wear? Is it going to come out with an earring in his ear? What is it going to be, right? So, yeah, man, I think it's crazy. But I just think sometimes when people get into that,
they take it too far.
They take it too far because it's like, well, okay, your team didn't win. Well, you think that all of a sudden they was plotting the whole time, saying, we didn't want Jason's team to win today. We didn't want him to win whatever bet he had put on it. So I know we get in our feelings sometimes as fans and as players. We just want to go out there and just go play. And I've never heard of anybody being on the take or any, nobody. I mean, come on. Like I said, now we're this day and age, it's 2022. I mean, guys are making a whole lot of money, man. The incentive as far as them doing something like that, to me, it would just be crazy if something like that happened.
Right. And you played with T, right? You played with Willie T.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Willie T still tight to this day, man. But Willie T's in the pipeline, man. He's gonna be a ref.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, because I noticed, because I meant to call him and I never did, but I'm trying to get him on the show so we can talk about this. I noticed there were a lot of refs that retired. So there's got to be a new crop coming in. And I know he's been doing ACC football. He's been going to different games to just shadow and watch and stuff like that. So I'm hoping Willie T will get the call and we'll be seeing him, line up 15 yards behind the quarterback as the, as a ref or ump. So hopefully we'll see that. But real quick, one of my guys from the A2D family, Frank Vespi, he's a hilltopper, dude.
Right. Okay. Hilltopper.
Yeah, a hilltopper. So I had to give him the business the other day because I'd never seen him. He had a Western Kentucky sweatshirt on, and I jumped in the chat and I was like, "Who's the dude with the Western Kentucky shirt on?" Like I had to give him, the business, man. I had to give him the business,
of course.
So it was all good. But here's the important thing that I wanted to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the halftime show?
Oh man, I'll tell you what, I enjoyed it. I loved it.
I did too.
We were here in the living room, jumping and hollering, and just going through the lyrics. Watching all the dances, the whole ambiance. I mean, to me, man, it was spectacular. And so, you always wanted to know who was going to be the mystery celebrity coming out, right? And then we see, fold down from the ceiling.
Man, I thought he was gonna fall.
I did too, man. I know whatever bar he was on, man. He was straining that joker. I know he was.
I thought he was getting too much blood to the head. He was gonna pass out. Cause shoot, man. But I thought it was a great halftime show. Oh, yeah. But in my opinion, it still wasn't better than Prince or Beyonce.
Oh no, not at all. So funny thing, we like earlier today. I was in here and my brother had just got from school, and I was talking to him about it. He's asked the same thing. What do you think about halftime show? I said, man, all the people they had in there was absolutely outstanding. It was incredible. I said, but when you talk about number one shows, Prince, without a doubt, is number one. And I say number two, like you said, was Beyonce, Coldplay, and Bruno Mars.
Yeah, Bruno Mars was dope.
Yeah, man. And when you're talking about entertainers and how they just got after it, you could see the ones that's what they do. Now, I remember they did the weekend last year, and I was just like, he's a singer. He's not really.
Exactly. So, he's a performer.
He's a performer. Right.
Yeah. So, you still keep up with basketball? You've been keeping up with Ben Simmons and all that kind of stuff? Because I'm in the Philly area, man.
Yeah, I have. I have. And, of course, I still have friends up there that still talk about it, and they still upset about the whole situation. And, I have my perspective on it as well. Look, I like Doc as a coach. I always have. And so I know they was kind of talking if Doc was a top 10 coach. I said, well, I don't know if he's top 10, but he's definitely top 15. I think he's top 15 to me, just for his body of work, the people that he's had.
I would argue that, but I still think he's a very good coach.
Yeah.
But Ben was on some other stuff, man.
Ben was on, man. Ben was on some other stuff, but apparently this is something that has kind of been his track record over the years. Like going to LSU, coming out. I mean, that's kind of been the write up of who he is. But it was surprising to me, how he was in the playoffs, and then the route he decided to go now, right? See, and I thought, and this is what I thought, but that Doc does a great job of getting guys better to play, right? Or just kind of saying, hey, look, you know what? I understand it's not working out the way that you wanted to, these different things, but at least I thought somebody who had played the game before can relate to get Ben to at least say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try this. But I know once it got severed, hey, there was no turning back from that, man. When I seen him, when they showed the video with him, with the phone in his pocket at practice, I said,
"Oh, that was a mess."
Oh man.
You know what he needed, right? He needed about a week in the Jack Ison room. That's what he needed. that's what he needed, man. Because you know what? And I was thinking about that, man. And again, going back to basically how we were raised and how we were coached, man, and it's how different it is now.
Yes.
And I don't want to say soft, but I can't think of a better word, because we had to take it. We had to take our lumps. We had to take our licks. If we suck, our coaches told us we suck.
Yeah.
And you had to go out. It wasn't coming from a place of like disdain or something like that. They were doing it to try to toughen you up, and you knew the next game they was going to be on your side, and they were trying to make you better. And sometimes, man, when I see some of these young kids and these players and how they go about stuff, and it's like, y'all have zero mental toughness, zero. Because like you got to be able to take this stuff. And I was listening to the back and forth between him and when Shaq was going in on him, and I was like, Shaq ain't lying. It was like, you got to take the criticism. You know what you got to work on. And what made it worse is he was putting up videos of him shooting jump shots in the summertime, and like he was really working on his game, and then come back, and when you need somebody in the worst way and they don't even show up, that's a problem.
Yeah. Look, I agree with you 100%. And they said, man, generations, it's weaker and wiser, right? That's how it's being said. It's weaker and wiser, and I think a lot of it has to deal with the AAU, what kids are given now. And sometimes we always thought our lives sucked, and it wasn't fair to us, and so we don't want our kids to go through the things we went through. But we had a level of, like you said, decency and respect that I think sometimes these kids miss. And so sometimes when these things are not reiterated to the kids that you're teaching right now, then those things are lost. And so when you lose that, you can't expect the kid to just like out of a blue gain it, right? So if he's prepped his whole entire life to be a particular way and not answer to authority, and you can do what you want to do, and we can talk about the rules of kids going to different schools, you get to transfer to a different place. Sometimes you just got to stick it out. I remember my dad told me, he said, if you ever start something, you got to finish it. I don't care if you like it or not, right? And so I just remember that was what saying that he made sure, regardless of what it was, you have to have like the mental fortitude, at least, what we're saying, we know what it is now, the toughness to deal with these things, because life is not going to be fair. It's not going to be what you want it to be all the time. And so these things you got to be able to deal with. And so what we're seeing right now is, it's more kind of a over analyzing of anxiety and things that people are dealing with, the mental health, which is real and it's tough. But I think a lot of it comes with the technology of dealing with social media. Not having the tough skin. Like, and look, I'm not with all agreeing to like bullying, because that's a different level of things, right? When somebody says something out of the way to you, that's something totally different. But if somebody is just being critical and trying to give you like positive feedback, or critiquing some of the things you can do, you can take that and say, hey, I'm taking this information and I'm gonna make myself better from it. The bad part with this generation, and some of the generation, I'm not gonna say everybody, right? I don't want to lump everybody, right? That takes it as like, well, I'm just gonna go home. Well, I'm just not gonna deal with it. And I remember somebody was saying, with video games now, if you don't like the game the way it's going, you can hit reset, or you can just hit, right,
start over.
It's not, right? Oh, sure. I'm getting beat. That was used to be the worst thing. You know how we used to play Tecmo Bowl. You know, and guys, there wasn't no quitting. You couldn't just quit. You had to finish the game out.
You had to finish the game. And the one that gets, if it was real mad, they reach up and hit the reset button and pop the cartridge out.
Right.
all y'all people laughing at us. We had to, NES was a cartridge-based system back in the day. So y'all ain't ready. So but yeah, you're right, man. It is not everybody, but sometimes it seems like the people. I mean, for God's sakes, he got a max contract here. It didn't show up. Yeah. Like and I've never, because you were here long enough to know, Philadelphia fans are very passionate.
Yes.
And I always say, passion is an emotion, and nobody thinks right when they're in motion. So a lot of times Philadelphia can go over the top. Not in this case. When you get a max contract, nobody ever heard anything about mental health when you signed that contract. Right. Nobody ever heard about mental health when you was popping them jumpers and posting them on Instagram and TikTok and all of that kind of stuff that you was doing. Nobody heard anything about that. And then the minute you suck in the playoffs and they call you on your stuff, now it's an issue. It's like, come on, man, it don't work that way. It was like, it was clear you had a problem. And then what made it worse was if he would have just took his licks, when this season started, the first time that dude would have hit a jump shot, the crowd would have went nuts.
Yeah.
It would have went nuts. All he had to do was just show that he worked on his game a little bit and do all the rest of the defensive stuff that he normally does, that he's known for. Mm-hmm. Just show that you worked a little bit on your jump shot. Just take 3 or 4 jump shots a game and make 2 of them. And this crowd will forgive all of that stuff because they know what kind of talent you got. And to see somebody in that situation literally just take their ball and go home, it's like how, I guess the question is, how do you miss on something like that? Like, what clues did you just totally whiff on that you didn't see at LSU?
Like I said, man, that was through all the scouting reports. Like I said, coming through college, that's what he was kind of known for. And what you expect him to do is, look, he gets compensated for what he does on the court, right?
Right.
And rightfully so. I just think that sometimes what we can't quantify is the mental process of like having to deal with not wanting to fail, right? Like him passing down that pass, the dunk and the layup.
Yep.
Like, whoa, wait a minute. Like immediately, Doc was like, hey man, look, you're supposed to take that shot. And so we should have known something was there right then. And so I know it's such a delicate issue to deal with, right? Because look, I'm not going to take away from how he's feeling and dealing with mental health. Because the thing is, because of the scope of what they're dealing with now, as far as like all the criticism, like not just like Shaq and his shows. Like imagine how many shows out here, like we're doing right now. How many shows of like sports writers and people out here and fan base that can touch them, that they are reading, that will give a guy a complex. It will. And thank God that we didn't have it at the time. Look, I was in Philly at the time, and I remember Jimmy Johnson told me, Jason, do not listen to the radio. Don't read the papers. Right?
Right.
And so
that's as far as it went.
That's as far as it went, right? But now it's almost like you can't miss it, right? A critique. Right. So a friend's gonna tell you, hey man, you heard what Shaq was saying about you, or you. So those guys are under a large amount of stress, no doubt about it. And I think sometimes, like you said, if a guy is talking through this hard part of his life, right, and if he's shown support, like from Doc and his teammates, that helps it out tremendously. And sometimes I feel like just because there's a lot of animosity there, he just didn't feel like he had that. And so what's the alternative? Well, I'm just not going to do anything. To him, he's just like, well, I don't care how much money you gave me. I'm not going to go out and blow it. I'm fearful about what's going on. I'm just going to leave. I mean, that's right now why he's not playing with Brooklyn, right? He still has got to work up to getting out there on the court, doing all the things. Look, he can go out there and go pay a pickup game or any NBA game and still be all right, just off his talent alone.
Right.
I think just the mental aspect of just dealing with these things, because it's coming from everywhere in the country, shoot, everywhere in the world. Everybody's talking Ben Simmons is in their mouth, right?
Yep.
Everybody knows who this guy is. Hey, this guy quit on this guy. So there's nowhere he can go in the country to escape that. Used to just be in your market where you lived in, that town. But now,
Yeah.
different.
It's worldwide. It's worldwide. But when you sign that max contract, that comes with the deal.
It does. It
It comes with the deal. So it's I don't know. It's weird, man. And again, like we sound like the the get off my lawn old guy because we just it's funny us how we came up and now we're saying stuff like these kids, these young folks, all it's crazy,
Right.
man. It's crazy. But it should be the same lessons we had are the same lessons they should have. The things that should build you up. I wish everybody could have had a Coach Kidd or Coach Ison to get them right.
That's right.
You remember Coach Ison didn't even have to say nothing. He had that look, and you was like, damn. So
we seen him a couple times try to send some people home, almost sent home, and told him, I will send you home. You miss another rep or set, I will send your butt home. Or what they used to break that plate? Break that plate.
Yeah, think I'm playing. He wasn't messing around. But you got better for it, man. So
absolutely,
it is what it is. How, where you living at? Are you still in Kentucky?
I am. So I'm here in Lexington.
Okay, cool. So you can get down to EKU pretty easily.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could get down as a few times a year, man. But my schedule just does not let me do it, bro.
Yeah,
just does not let me do it. So what's up, Sean? My boy in the chat, Sean Young. You remember Sean? You met Sean, haven't you? Sean was the dude that used to always wear the Eagle stuff with the shoulder pads and that's Sean. Sean's a good dude, man.
Yeah,
Sean's a good dude.
Okay.
So big props to Sean. What is this? I'm looking at some stuff in the chat. Greg Malakovich says, "What's up, Marcus? Jason, thanks for your time. Appreciate it, Greg." Brian Daly, I want to agree. What did he say, Brian? Donald made huge. Oh, the poll question was, should Aaron Donald have won the MVP?
Well,
I think he should have, but I'm not mad at Cooper Kupp.
Right.
I'm not mad at that decision.
Yeah.
So
under the scope of how they determine who the MVP is, and I was just reading this up because I didn't quite know, is they turn all the votes in before the 2-minute warning, right? And so I think at that moment, it is. You should always wait till the end of the game, right? I mean, you got
that's like celebrating before the game's over with.
Exactly. Well, we know teams done had the champagne cold and pulled out in the locker room, and 2 minutes later they had to pull it out. Like, take all the confetti and all the balloons down. They didn't win, and so
I remember seeing something. This was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was some YouTube video, and the video was about like a third world country with impoverished kids and all of that kind of stuff. But some of the kids had the Super Bowl T-shirts on with the wrong team on them. So they got to make up all of the shirts.
Right.
But the team that lost, they had the shirts that said Super Bowl champions.
Oh yeah,
and like stuff like that. So they got to do what they got to do.
Yeah,
but that's weird. I never heard that, man. I never heard that.
Yeah, man. That's how they do that's the process. And so I think at that time, Kupp probably should have won it. I mean, he already had a touchdown. He was doing work toward the end and ended up scoring on that last drive. And then of course Donald at the end defensively, when he needed to play, he comes up with 2 major plays. Just played monstrous. And so if you say co-MVP, absolutely. I think both of them probably deserved it. Cooper Kupp from what he's just done. I mean, offensively the entire year. That guy, man, stupid. He's an animal. Oh man, he's an absolute animal. And so when you look at a guy who is just torching defenses like he was, I mean, how do you not give it to a guy like that? You might say, hey, look, what he did in the game. Hey, hats off to him, man. He had 2 touchdowns. He had 2 tubs.
Right. So, You can't. Like I said, I wouldn't have been mad with Aaron Donald. I'm damn sure not mad with Cooper Kupp because he balled.
No.
But I know because of the Super Bowl, it's taken some of the heat off of the NFL with this Brian Flores stuff. What were your thoughts on that when they came out a couple weeks ago?
Here's where I'm at with it. Being a black coach, I understand the frustration. I really do. And I even said, man, in college, it's even worse. It's abysmal right now in college. Yeah. If you look at the amount of black head coaches, I mean, it's almost non-existent. It really is. And so the NFL.
Shout out to you, by the way, because you used to coach at Kentucky State. That's my sister's alma mater. So my twin sister Mel, I know she's listening. So shout out to my sister Mel.
Absolutely, thoroughbreds. And so we understand, like, there's something there. We have these conversations as minority coaches, and so the thing is, in this scope, it's not just black. We're talking about any type of minority, women, all type of things. Like trying to break that ceiling, right, of people getting opportunities. And sometimes what ends up happening, and I've said this before, sometimes there's implicit bias, and sometimes people don't know they have them. I mean, this is the reality of it. And so if it's intentional or unintentional, then sometimes these things, I think, need to be looked into a little bit more. You need to have a deeper conversation. You're not going to be able to change guys' minds, the ones that own the team. They're going to hire whoever they want to hire. And I truly believe that maybe with this all coming out, that something's good is going to come out of it, right? I mean, the thing is, look, in this country, you just got to have a difficult conversation, and you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that he's going in, talking to the owners, talking to the GMs. You got to talk to all the players and all the other coaches, right? And I'm talking about white coaches also. Just having an uncomfortable conversation. They're sitting down like, look, man, we could talk about these things about maybe why I didn't hire this guy. And if I'm sitting over saying, like, to me, this guy seemed a little bit more like me, I was a little bit more kind of used to, and I felt a little bit more comfortable with this guy, then fine. You could say that. I got no issue, no problem with that. The thing is, when we talk about the Rooney Rule, there was a reason this rule existed, right?
Exactly.
Because you knew the issue and that problem. And so
it had merit in its intent, but the execution was just flawed.
It's a sham, absolute sham, right? And the thing is, it's like, hey, look, if I meet a quota, just bring the guy in, so be it. And I'm sure that teams have done that, just bringing guys in and then just kind of filter them out. But I think, like I said before, that Brian Flores, brought something to attention that I think people had to take a step back, kind of get out of their feelings and actually look at it in an organic place. And I'll say this too. I think Belichick is a guy that would, without a doubt, not make a mistake on who to text. He knew
exactly. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, he knew exactly was getting hired. So I understand retroactively it's easy to, hey, you can't tell what my intent was, and this one really what is. Look, Belichick knew. He absolutely knew. The thing is, like I said, it takes everybody to have a real conversation. He needs to be the one to speak up. Either say, hey, I didn't know for sure, or I did, right? And I think once you have that, you can kind of move from a space, right? That's the way I look at it. So I think, like I said before, I think it's something that, the conversation has been included, something that needs to be talked about, because what I know is over the history of NFL, there's been 511 head coaches, and only 19 of them have been African-American. So
that's 3%, man. That ain't good. And I said, because we talked about, matter of fact, I shouted you out when you sent me that text about the coaches. And my thing is, I'm like, how you gonna tell somebody what to do with their own house? You can't do it.
Okay.
But I understand the struggle. And my thing is, if you don't want me, I can live with that. But don't waste my time. That, to me, that's the straw that broke the camel back. If they would have just called Flores and said we went in another direction, thanks. They would have caught heat for, the only thing you gave them was a Zoom call. They would have caught heat like that, but not with what they're catching now. My issue with the Giants is not that they didn't hire him. My issue is that you had already had somebody else and you still made him come in and you wasted his time. Because as a coach, all the prep you got to do to get ready for an interview and all of the stuff that you got to have your P's and Q's together, all your ducks in a row. And all of that work, and you're gonna waste his time. That was, in my opinion, that's the thing where he was like, "Oh hell no, nah. We're gonna do something about this." So we'll see what they do. A lot of eyes are on them, and we get this. You don't get a lot of the coach speak from the owners. They're gonna try to make it sound good because at the end of the day, the only thing they worried about is the bottom line. So we'll see. There probably are some good owners that really want to make a difference, but the majority of them probably don't. They just worried about the dollar, and that is what it is, man. So we'll see what happens. So
we always said, things are situational, right? Every organization is not like that. Every organization doesn't feel that way. They might not have that bias, but some are, right? We just got to be honest on particular things. So I don't think there's anything wrong of just having that perspective in itself. I think, like I said before, that you have to have that conversation to bring it to the table. And I think just at least the letter, what Roger Goodell said, he's saying there's an issue and a problem. Well, guess what? Then you bring the owners and you need to bring everybody else to the table to have a real meaty, organic conversation, right? And then kind of go from there, man. So,
right. Because now it's going to, every year, well, it's been like this for the last 2 years, but every year everybody's going to look at, so nobody wants Eric Bieniemy. Nobody wants Deuce Staley. Nobody wants Flores anymore. Like, come on. Because and what makes it worse, especially in the Eric Bieniemy situation, I don't know. Did you play with Bieniemy? He was.
When Bieniemy came up here to Philly, and I actually took Bieniemy back to the airport. So that little stint he came up here to come sign. I knew EB. So
right, but he when the last 4 years when he get passed up, the problem with that situation is you see everybody that got hired, and you're looking at, you're like, the qualifications aren't even close.
Yeah.
So you can, and the whole thing, they go on a tangent about it always gets into the ethos that bad interview. That's the buzzword. He's got a bad interview. But I heard, I don't know if you saw this, when Tony Dungy talked about his experience with that. When he went to interview for some job, and the guy was basically like, "You don't curse and scream and holler," and he was like, "No." And he was basically, the guy was like, "Well, I don't think you're the guy from my team."
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So, but he said after that interview, the whole bad interview thing came out, and it was like, that's just something they put on it to try to justify it, and you can't justify it. And he even said, he didn't call out the owner, but he said he saw the guy. He didn't say his name. He saw the guy later after he won the Super Bowl, and the guy admitted, he was like, "I was wrong on him." So, but we just got to get people to that point where they can get that opportunity and get in and do their business and show their thing. Because if they ain't good, they ain't good.
Yeah, look, I'm like this. If we're just looking at things, right, taking race out of it, right, we're just looking at the body of work. Okay, you got 2 sheets of paper up. We don't know who the guy is, and we say he has A, B, C. All these, tangibles to him. This other guy's only got this. If I'm just saying, who do you take from this? I'm going to take this guy. You turn around, it's Brian Flores, right? Or I'm going to take the guy from, I don't know, like Cliff Kingsbury. He came from Texas State. He wasn't winning down there. He wasn't winning.
No. Right?
So,
not close.
Who's the guy who was a Giants? Joe Judge? He's coach, wasn't he? Or something like that, correct? See, and so when you hear these things, as far as like, wait a minute. You're thinking about taking who was it, Josh McCown, as a head coach? He ain't even won with his son's high school game, or maybe junior high. And
he was coaching high school when we signed him back.
Man, yes. So when you're sitting there saying things like that in that argument, it's like, wait a minute, hold on, what is moving here? What is the problem issue? And it's not even, look. Josh McCown, I don't care, man, get somebody else better than him, right? Why is somebody else not being considered? I don't even care if it's black, somebody who has a higher caliber than this guy right here, right? You're just going to try something? I don't know. So
exactly, because we got a little bit of that when we hired Doug Peterson. But at least Doug Peterson had all of that time under Andy Reid in the Green Bay, off that tree. And I remember when we drafted Donovan, they signed Doug Peterson so they could teach Donovan the offense. The Green Bay offense.
Yeah.
So he was horrible as a starter, but he wasn't there for that. He was there to hang on long enough till he could hand a baton to Donovan, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
And even though he had no head coaching experience, at least he had been around the professional side of the game long enough on the sidelines where he could come in and do some things. And you saw what happened 3 years in. He takes us to the house and we got a Super Bowl ring. But the stuff with some of these guys, you're like, even what's the dude from the guy from the Patriots?
Belichick?
Not Belichick. The guy that they hired and then went somewhere and then he quit. McDaniels, thank you.
Yeah, man.
And it's like if anybody else, especially a black coach, if they were to display that type of behavior, they would never have an opportunity to coach anywhere ever again.
Yeah, no.
So, but and you know what? The NFL is they again, they happy because of the Super Bowl, and it's taking some of the shine off of all of this other stuff that they don't want to talk about. But all this stuff gonna come back again because they still got to deal with the Washington issue. They still ain't dealt with that yet, and now they got that. What do you think of the Washington? Nobody can answer that with a straight face.
Yeah, man. Hey, I don't even know where to start with that, man. The reality is, listen, they're being protected. They're being very selective with the information. They don't want to divulge everything that happened with that, and they should, right? Let's just be honest here. And so when they caught Gruden in that, it's the same thing. Like, how you catch Gruden in this, right? And rightfully so, the things he said, but then all the other conversations he had with everybody else, that goes away. No, we want to show that part of it. Well, we just gonna show this. And so, hey, man, look, I get it. The money is power, or at least perceived power, right? Especially in NFL, they're going to be beholden to that. They know that. And so to them, I mean, come on. Washington, man, there, Snyder, those guys, man, hey, man.
he going to end up, I think he's going to end up losing the team eventually. Him and if they continue that investigation down there with Ross down in Miami, he might lose his team too. Because the one thing about Washington, and what I think is going to happen, all of this stuff with this lawsuit about the hostile work environment, that's going to blow up, and the NFL wants that to happen because they don't want anybody to get back in the real reason why Gruden got fired. Because I think that all of the stuff that they found out about Gruden is going to involve other owners, and that's what they're trying to avoid.
Right.
Because that dude wasn't talking to himself.
No,
he had to talk to somebody. John Gruden wasn't the only person that was saying some craziness like that.
No, not at all.
So, and you know, just like your mama used to tell you, why you hanging out with them? Is that what you like to do?
Right.
You gonna only hang around the people that do what you do or talk like you talk.
Birds of the feather come together.
Absolutely, man. So they're trying to avoid some serious repercussions, and I think it's going to get to the point where they can avoid it because now I think it's going to get to a situation where Congress gets involved, and you know how Congress loves to grandstand when it comes to sporting events and athletes and all. They love to grandstand and beat their chest over that. As ridiculous as they look during the steroid trials. I was never so embarrassed to be for our American government as I saw that. I was like, you clearly have people that have zero idea what they're talking about talking. And it was quite evident. And it's going to end up being the same thing, but legally, the NFL is going to find themselves in a bind where they're going to have to release that paperwork. So,
and I think sometimes what they end up doing, you always have one that ends up being kind of the guy, and the reality is there's a whole lot of money out there. People, owning an NFL team is a privilege, and they understand it. And so there's plenty of people out here that have money that's willing to put it out there to buy a team. And so it's like, look, if you messed up, man, you messed up. And so we know if the work environment was what they said it was in the lawsuit, we find this out, right? Just bringing everything out, then so be it. Hey, that's how it works. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's gonna go, and it's not gonna die because I see. I watch Mike Florio and Chris Sims PFT. Okay, I like watching that. But with Florio being a former lawyer, he is like he's beating the drum, man. Yeah. So you got people like that are looking for answers. So we'll see what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah. Hey man, look, if you look, he's guilty. The man's guilty. Period. Hey,
Yeah.
he can, look. Let him go do something else. He got plenty of money. You billionaire. Go invest in something else. You don't have to come do this. You know.
Exactly. So we'll see. Hey, but before I let you go, man, I cannot let you get out of here, man. You got to give me some Tony Gonzalez stories, man. You played with a Hall of Famer, bro. You got to give me because last week I had my man John Booty.
Okay.
John Booty played with the Jets and the Eagles, and I had him give me a Reggie White story. So,
okay.
Yeah, you got to give me a Tony Gonzalez story, man.
All right. I'll tell you. I'll give you a Tony Gonzalez story, but I'm gonna give you a Reggie White story first. Okay.
Okay.
One of those. So my rookie year, we're going up there to play Green Bay. So the entire week, you're just going through the meetings. John Gruden's talking about this. He's incredible. And it's, so all I can remember is that the hip toss with the tackle with the one arm, right?
Right.
And so we get up there to Green Bay, and I'm blocking Reggie. Oh, I'm just grunting. He didn't say nothing. It goes on for about 2 or 3 quarters. Still grunting. Doesn't say anything. So halftime, I'm like, daggone. I said, man, he ain't said nothing the whole game. Not a word, not a whisper, nothing. So I think it was like third quarter. I'm blocking him, and Charlie Gardner breaks out for about 25, 30 yards, right? And I walk back to the huddle. Reggie White hits me on my butt. He's like, hey, man, good block. I turn around and say, hey, thank you, Mr. White. I appreciate that. And I come to the sideline, and Jimmy said, man, did you just try to shake Reggie's hand? I said, man, that's Reggie White. Yes. I just tried to shake his hand. So,
they
man.
paid you a compliment. The best to do it. Sure.
Come on. I'm going to take that. Hey, I'm
mad at you.
Yeah, I'm a fan. So Reggie White story. So Tony, I don't know how to start. Tony's he's a Huntington Beach, California guy. I mean, that's who he is. Just kind of laid back. There was one time in a meeting, we were kind of going over all the game that we just got finished playing, and so of course in the meeting room, every play that we ran, pass play, Tony's open. So he's like, oh, I'm open. Oh, I'm open. Oh, and I'm sitting there thinking like, Tony, are you open every single play? Like and you could tell that he was double team, triple team. Oh, I'm open. Yeah. He's like, yeah, baby, I'm open all the time. I said, man, look, can you at least let somebody else have some of this shine besides you? So it was kind of a funny thing, man. Tony's man is a great guy, man, good friend of mine. We had some really good times out there in Kansas City.
Who was your coach out there?
So I had Dick Vermeil.
Vermeil, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I had Vermeil for 4 years, now 5, and I had Herm for 2. Herman Edwards. So Philly guys, Philly ties.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I talked my homeboy. I don't think you know Ron Carpenter. Me and Ron Carpenter went to high school together. Ron won the Super Bowl with Vermeil and the Rams back during the Greatest Show on Turf.
Okay.
So I talked to him the other day, and then I got another buddy of mine from up here, a guy named Ken Dunnick, who played with Vermeil with the Eagles, because they were talking about they going up to Canton when he gets inducted.
Okay. So, yeah.
Man, so that was pretty cool to see him.
Yeah, man. I mean, just a superb person. I mean, he really is. As good of a coach as he is, he's an even better person. Just a wonderful, wonderful man. And he just cares a lot about his players. And just incredible. I'm so happy for Coach Vermeil for getting in. I'll be up there, God willing. Of course, if everything is how it should be. I'm gonna go up there and go see him, man. So definitely celebrated that. I went to Tony's when he got inducted to the Hall of Fame.
That's what's up.
It was good, man. It was good. It was. I tell you what, the Hall of Fame is a good time to go and just see good football, good players. This is a good time. We actually have one here, a Kentucky Pro Football Hall of Fame, down here in Kentucky. And so, we got some good guys that's been inducted. We got a lot of good talent, man, from around here, and guys that's been in the league. But it's always a fun time. Always a fun time.
Absolutely, man. Just getting together with the brothers, man. And because I remember how it was when we had our Super Bowl parade, and we had they had the thing for us at the art museum.
Yeah.
And it was just all guys just Man, that was the best part about it. It was cold AF, but just being in the art museum, just being around people, talking, joking, cutting up. The same thing like you would do in the locker room, man.
Yeah.
That's what people miss, man. The people on the outside don't understand that brotherhood. Whether you 1 day or 10 years, once you in, you in. And you never forget them experiences, man.
That's right. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So before we close up, man, I got some fun stuff I got to do. I've been doing this every year. I'm trying to see if it'll work now. There we go. I'll go over some of these memes. This was me trying to connect my charger without getting out of bed. 50 Cent hanging.
Pretty good. I like that one. That's good.
I had somebody say that they were talking about 50 Cent looked like he went up to $1.50 because he was a little thick.
Right,
he was a little thick.
Yeah.
Let me see what's next. Oh, this Cooper Kupp with Eli Apple.
Yeah, Eli Apple. Boy.
Yeah, he been talking trash.
Cash. That's all he been talking, man. And the whole time after Tyreek and Hardman. Yeah, so I would just say, on our show was like, look, man, I wonder who's going to take a bite out of the apple. And sure enough, Cooper Kupp, you see him, he carried him around with his little cuppy.
When you talk like that, you got to show up. So
that's right. Better back it up.
You get what you get. And this is our Browns, man. Sorry, who? Odell? Yeah, he doesn't work anymore. You know what, man? I was so happy for Odell because he caught a lot of flack. He's been catching flack ever since he left New York.
Yeah.
So I was happy for him. He was the guy I was like, I want to see the crib get a ring, but I'm happy that Odell got a ring. I'm happy that Aaron Donald got a ring because those are the guys that, for as much of a diva as they said Odell was, he really wasn't. Right. He just went out there and talked stuff and all of that stuff that was going down. Because I'm not big on the family members going on social media and trying to stir up trouble. Yeah, I know Mahomes is going through that stuff right now, but that's like you will always lose that battle, man.
Right.
You cannot win that battle. But when Odell's father did what he did and posted that video of all the times he was open, kind of like what you were saying about Tony. Like you saw it right on the tape. And when you saw what he started doing in LA, didn't say nothing to nobody. He just went out there, caught the ball, and started balling out. And now everybody in Cleveland looks stupid.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't think he deserved all the, the criticism he got for sure. But yeah.
Nah.
The game ball.
They giving Apple the game ball. That's a shame.
Yeah, they've been torturing him, man. They've been torturing that Joker, man, ever since that all that went on with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was firing off up this way, talking about Jalen Hurts and stuff, like unprovoked. Like you ain't even met Jalen Hurts. Like, why you got something to say about him? Where did that come from?
Yeah. Well,
it is what it is, man.
I think Eli Apple was the guy that when you're running like 5-on-5 on the court, and he's the one talking more mad stuff than anybody else, and he ain't scored a point. Yeah, man, we got it. I told you, man, game time. Man, you ain't stopped nobody. You ain't scored a point. So
he the first one to get dunked on.
The first one to get dunked on. Talking about my shoes was outside. Okay, I got you. All
right. Before we get out of here, bro, pub your podcast, Chief Concerns.
Yes, sir. So you can find us Chiefs Concerns. We usually tape on Wednesdays, put it out on Thursdays. Chiefs Concerns, we find it on Twitter. We got it on YouTube. I guess me, my co-host, Eric Warfield, who was a teammate with me out in Kansas City, played for Nebraska. Very talented guy, man, wonderful dude. And the Marcus Dash played, he was actually a sports caster out there in Kansas City for a little bit. Okay. And we do a lot of it, kind of on Zoom style, getting some good guys on. We had Coach DeVille on, talk to him, talk to Willie Rowe, for a lot of guys that play for the Chiefs. And then sometimes what we also try to do, we try to bring on maybe the opponent, somebody who played for the team that the Chiefs will play that week, and just have a nice, really long conversation, maybe talking trash or just, kind of guys giving perspective. But it's kind of the same setting here. Just, guys talking, man, just having a good time with it. So Chief Concerns, kind of look at it, like I said, on Twitter, you see it on YouTube. So, tune in.
That'll work, man. Holla at your boy, man. I'm trying to collaborate with everybody. We're trying to make this thing grow.
Right.
Time to
Absolutely.
make this thing grow, man. But that's about the time we got today, man. Thanks everybody for joining us. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Chief Concerns. My brother Jason Dunn, back from the EKU days, the cabin on the hill, baby. It never dies.
Yeah.
Cabin on the hill, son.
That's it.
So thanks for joining me, bro. I appreciate you. Love you, man. Stay safe.
Appreciate it, Marcus. Love you too.
And thanks for everybody joining in, man. And we're going to be out of here. And we will see you guys next week. Same time, same channel, man. Be there and make it. Appreciate you. Peace.